A few years ago, as you may recall, the world faced an apocalyptic threat. It was a moment of existential crisis for all of civilization. We found ourselves on the verge of planetary destruction, and it was all because of plastic straws. To this day, the images of Strawmageddon are still stamped indelibly on our minds. We saw pictures of sea turtles with plastic straws shoved up their noses, a situation that we decided to blame on the straw and not on the sea turtle for being clumsy, frankly. There were beluga whales with straws jammed into their eyes, great whites with straws coming out of their gills. An entire family of bottlenose dolphins were killed by one single straw. It was a catastrophe. The media insisted, all of a sudden, that we had to ban plastic straws. We had to get rid of them. They told us about the giant garbage patch in the Pacific, which was evidently comprised almost entirely of plastic straws from Starbucks and McDonald's. They gave us a lot of other shocking information, but none so shocking as this. Apparently, countless media reports insisted Americans use and discard 500 million plastic straws a day. That's about 182 billion straws in a year, which means that every single American goes through well over 500 straws annually. Every American uses and throws away at least one straw every single day without fail, we were told. And that means that if we were to take all the straws we use in a day collectively and lay them out one by one on the ground, they would wrap around the world twice. If we were to take all the straws we use collectively in a year and stack them end to end, we would reach the moon 90 times. By the way, I haven't done these calculations myself. I found them on a random WordPress blog, and I'm just assuming that they're correct, which, as it happens, is exactly what the media did with all of this anti-straw information. Specifically, the media was repeating data first gathered and reported by a 9-year-old boy. The child had come up with the 500 million straws a day figure by randomly calling a few straw manufacturers on the phone and taking whatever information they gave him and running some mathematical calculations that nobody ever checked and extrapolating that Americans somehow use 500 million plastic straws in a single 24-hour period. This kid was an authority figure on the subject of plastic straws for whatever reason, and we were supposed to listen to him and make adjustments according to what he said. CNN even brought him on for an interview several years ago. And here's what that looked like.
Let's talk about this. What inspired you to get folks to be straw-free?
Well, sometimes I think we forget that every straw we use, every piece of plastic, will be here on Earth, somewhere on Earth, even when my grandchildren are born, long after that.
Okay, now, needless to say, I have nothing against this kid. As a parent, in fact, I can appreciate that he's focusing his energies on this. There are certainly less productive ways that a child that age could spend his time. But the question is whether any adult, any major corporation, any government should actually take marching orders from a third grader. And it wasn't just this one third grader. There was another 9-year-old child standing at the forefront of the anti-plastic straw struggle. Here's 9-year-old Molly Steer in 2017, founder of the Straw No More campaign, giving a TED Talk to a group of adults.
Hi. My name's Molly Steer, and I'm 9 years old, and I've just found out that straws really do suck. Earlier this year, my mum and I went to see a movie called A Plastic Ocean. The movie said that all over the world, oceans are filling up with our plastic rubbish. This plastic gets into our oceans and it hurts the marine animals. On my way home from watching the movie that night, I started thinking about what I could do to help. I started thinking about plastic straws.
Now, look on the bright side here. Even if you feel that you've hit rock bottom in your life, even if it seems like things couldn't possibly get worse, at least you've never attended a 9-year-old's TED Talk. Now, I don't blame Molly for not understanding this point. She's a child after all. But the plastic in the ocean is not really our rubbish, quote unquote. Actually, 95% of the plastic in the ocean comes from third world countries in Africa and Asia. Outside those countries, Brazil accounts for the most. So Western countries account for a comparatively minuscule amount of the plastic pollution. In fact, there are many countries with a fraction of the U.S. population that nevertheless produce exponentially more pollution in the ocean. And of the 5% of the problem that all of Europe, North America, and South America and Australia contribute to, an even tinier fraction is from plastic straws. So tiny that you could ban all plastic straws in all Western countries and it would have basically no effect on the pollution problem at all. Not while places like Sri Lanka are still dumping all of their garbage directly into their rivers, which then go out into the ocean. If you're hiring, it's incredibly hard to attract top talent. And with the current labor market conditions, It's even harder than ever. That's why you want a partner like ZipRecruiter who gets it. ZipRecruiter knows how tough it is right now, but they figured out solutions for the problems you're facing. Try them for free at ZipRecruiter.com/Walsh. To reach more of the right people, ZipRecruiter posts your job to 100 plus job sites. ZipRecruiter's smart technology finds great matches for your job and then lets you invite the most qualified people to apply for your job. Their pricing is really straightforward. You can stick to your budget with no surprises. Team up with a hiring partner like ZipRecruiter who understands what you need. 4 to 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Just go to this exclusive web address to try ZipRecruiter for free. ZipRecruiter.com/Walsh. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/WALSH. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Now, children don't understand these sorts of things or have this kind of perspective, which is understandable. And it's why when a child says, we should get rid of all the plastic straws and save the earth, the appropriate response is to pat them on the head and say, sure, little guy, that sounds great, and then proceed to ignore whatever they said. But that's not how our leaders responded. Instead, over the course of a few months, at the behest of a group of confused elementary school children, states and cities around the nation banned plastic straws. Many restaurant chains joined the party and pledged to get rid of all their plastic straws and move instead to paper straws. This switch was made all over the country, and now today, paper straws have mostly supplanted the plastic variety. Now, paper makes for a terrible straw on the merits. They dissolve in liquid, which is the opposite of what you want your straw to do. But at least we were told it's healthier and more eco-friendly. Even if plastic straws aren't really a huge problem, what's the harm in making the switch if it'll make, the planet a better, cleaner place? Even if in a very minuscule way. Well, as it turns out, the harm that it does might be considerable. The Daily Mail reports today, quote, we may all think we're doing our bit for the planet by sipping our drinks out of a paper straw, but the eco-friendly alternatives contain long-lasting and potentially toxic chemicals, a new study has concluded. In the first analysis of its kind in Europe, Belgian researchers tested 39 brands of straws for the group of synthetic chemicals known as poly and perfluoroalkyl. Whatever. PFAS is what it is. PFAS were found in the majority of the straws tested and were most common in those made from paper and bamboo. The synthetic chemicals are used to make everyday products from outdoor clothing to non-stick pans resistant to water, heat, and stains. They are, however, potentially harmful to people, wildlife, and the environment. The substances break down very slowly over time and can persist over thousands of years in the environment, a property that has led to them being known as forever chemicals. They've been linked to a number of health problems, including lower response to vaccines, lower birth weight, thyroid disease, increased cholesterol levels, liver damage, kidney cancer, and testicular cancer. Well, there you go. You might die of kidney cancer, but at least no sea turtles will have straws jammed up their noses. Instead, they'll just get cancer too. It gets even better reading, quote, analysis revealed the majority of the brands, 69%, contained PFAS, with different PFAS detected in total. Paper straws were most likely to contain the synthetic chemicals. The most commonly found PFAS has been banned globally since 2020. Also detected were another thing I can't pronounce, TFA we'll call it, and TFMS, ultra short chain PFAS, which are highly water soluble and so might leach out of straws into drinks. The PFAS concentrations were low, and since most people tend to only use straws occasionally, pose a limited risk to human health. However, PFAS can remain in the body for many years and concentrations can build up over time. So, that's the good news. Sure, the paper straws have lethal chemicals in them that are actually dissolving into your iced coffee as you drink it. But as long as you only use the straws occasionally, then the risk will be limited until it builds up in your body over time and kills you. Of course, if we really go through 180 billion straws a year, then we're in trouble. Because what we were told to begin with is that we don't use straws occasionally, we use them every day. So that's what we're left with. The only way that the paper straws won't do severe damage to our health is if the logic for using paper straws in the first place turns out to be false. But then if that's the case, there's no reason to use them at all. Now look at the silver lining though. As Molly said in her TED Talk, the plastic straws that you use, they can harm you. If marine animals eat those straws and then you eat the marine animals, then indirectly you're ingesting the plastic. Well, now we've cut out the middleman so that we can just be harmed directly by the straw instead. So you can ingest the straw by throwing it in the ocean, waiting for a fish to eat it, then eating the fish. That's one way. Or you can just ingest the straw by having it dissolve into your beverage and drink it. which is what we're doing now. A brilliant strategy. What this means is that the people who banned plastic straws never checked the data to confirm that plastic straws were actually a problem and never did any studies to make sure that the alternative straws would be better for people and the environment. That's because the plastic straw panic never had anything to do with data or facts, and it was driven nor was it driven by any sincere desire to protect our oceans. It was all just another giant virtue signaling exercise, another petty power grab by the collection of meddling little tyrants who look for every conceivable way, no matter how small, to control our behavior. And when I say meddling little tyrants, to be clear, I'm not talking about the 9-year-old kids. I'm talking about the people who use those 9-year-old kids as a pretense to control yet another seemingly small aspect of your life. And that's really why you're using paper straws. Something to remember when you're diagnosed with thyroid disease because of it, and that is why paper straws are today canceled. If you'd like to see what else I have to say, you can access my full show by going to dailywire.com or by going to the Matt Walsh Show Twitter page. Hope to see you there. Godspeed.